Welcome back folks and welcome to a new video. So today we're gonna be reviewing Enshrouded because for the past couple of weeks I've had a chance to play through this game, and I'm gonna be honest, I have been spending a lot more time than I'm supposed to in this game, because if the game is a survival action RPG, I'm in for it. I'm going to be playing it. So today I just want to talk about it. Now, before we begin, just a quick disclaimer. This key was provided to me by Keymailer, but again, this is a review copy, so I am not obligated in any way, shape or form to only praise the game and not talk about my actual experience in it, which I want to talk about today. So Enshrouded came out like 2 weeks ago on PC, and it's made by Keen Games. So this is pretty much a game which Keen Games said is one of their biggest projects ever, because everything in this game is made by hand, by people, so they didn't really go into a lot of procedural generation, so you can kind of see that as you're playing it. So Enshrouded, as I said at the beginning, is a survival action RPG which also allows for co-op, I believe up to 16 players in total. But of course the experience as a solo is pretty good, because, you know, for the past week I've been playing mainly solo this game because none of my friends actually had the time to play this. So the story of Enshrouded is that you are a member, basically one of the last members of a dying race which was defeated by this thing called the Shroud. So what people did before in the story is that they said, okay, there is no way we can fight this, but we can use these cryo chambers and we can get some of the people in them so that in time, when that flame awakens again, they will be awakened and they will reclaim the lost kingdom and defeat the Shroud. And that's basically how the story begins. You wake up from one of those chambers and you go out into the world to reclaim your kingdom. Now Enshrouded pretty much starts as any other survival game. You're gonna be gathering wood, you're gonna be gathering stone to craft some stuff. And it's going to have all of the familiar elements which you kind of got used to from other survival games, because Enshrouded reminded me a lot of Valheim and Outward and maybe Zelda, and like 1% Zelda had a baby and this thing came out. So you will be seeing a lot of the familiar stuff. You're gonna be hunting different wild animals for meat, which you're gonna be cooking and so on. But when it comes to starting the game itself, there is a very interesting element to it, is that you have 5 survivors along with you, which are basically AI NPCs. Now they won't be moving, they will be in your base. Now the point of these people is that each one of them is specialized in one thing. So at start you will be getting a blacksmith, and later on you're gonna be getting a huntress, then you're gonna be getting a farmer, then you're gonna be getting a mage, and after that you're gonna be getting a carpenter. All of these 5 people which are in your base, they will be serving as somewhat of a knowledge to be able for you to craft new stuff. So that's how you kind of get and learn stuff in this game. It's not just, oh, my character automatically knows everything. No, you have specialized people which you rescued from those chambers, and they will be in your base helping you out and creating that stuff. And by mean helping you out, it's not going to be like in Pal World where they work for you. No, they will just be giving you their knowledge to create different stuff from obviously all of the stuff you gather. Now, when it comes to exploration and progression in this game, the exploration is going to be pretty similar to, as I said previously, like Elden Ring and so on, where you basically reveal the map as you go. Now, what I talked about before, there is this thing called Shroud. So Shroud is going to be in the lower parts of the map, where majority of time you as a character are gonna be spending a lot of time on these mountains and ravines up in the air, because, well, you cannot go down because, well, Shroud is down. Now, when you go into a Shroud at the beginning, you will have about 5 to 6 minutes to be into it. And you're gonna be going into the Shroud every now and then, because first off, there are some resources which you cannot get anywhere else. And at the same time, you're gonna be fighting various enemies and fighting the Shroud within the Shroud, obviously, because that's one of the ways you defeat them. And once this timer goes off, well, you immediately die. Now, one of the things which I do like about this game is, for example, when you respawn, you're gonna be respawning with a lot of gear on you, so you're not gonna be losing everything every single time. Most of the stuff which you're gonna be losing are going to be from like the inventory of the stuff you get, but your armor and everything else is going to stay pretty much as is. Which is nice because, you know, from time to time you're gonna be dying in this game, it's not that easy. But of course there are other things which you can get, like for example getting potions and getting to various points in that shroud which have the ability to restore that timer, and that's actually very important. Honestly, I wasn't feeling like the shroud mechanic was annoying. I actually like that there is a certain risk when you're about to go from this nice, greenish, beautiful area into a shroud, which can be dangerous because you don't know what stuff you're gonna be fighting in it. Now, the gameplay and gameplay loop so far is pretty good. I mean, honestly, it starts you kind of create your base and like where you're gonna be staying. There is fast travel in this game. You can always fast travel back to your base, but you can also find these like towers that you can fast travel to continue going somewhere else. And that's one of the things when it comes to exploration in this game. At first you're gonna be very much grounded, but you also do have two tools at the beginning. That's going to be a hook and it's going to be a glider. So once you discover the first tower, you're gonna be getting on that tower every single time, most of the time, and you can fast travel to it, and you just basically push yourself off of the tower with the glider to go into a specific area which you want. This helps because you're gonna be able to traverse higher areas and you don't have to worry about the shroud down below. Now do keep in mind, at start when you are kinda weak, there are going to be some areas of the shroud which you cannot visit, and at the second you step into that shroud, you die. And actually happened to me a few times, like I was saying like, oh, why is this red shroud? Let me see what's up, and I step into it and I was immediately basically destroyed. But the map slowly unlocks for you, well, as you progress, because you're gonna be needing a better glider, and of course you will have to be stronger by crafting different gear to, well, fight stronger enemies. So the gameplay loop is going to be you pretty much coming back to your base, building up some stuff, repairing the equipment, and then going out into the world to do those quests, to roam around the map, to explore, and also by doing that you gather pretty much most of the resources you want. And because the game doesn't have a weight limit, you can go around and do whatever you want. Pretty much the only limitation you have is the amount of slots you have in your inventory. That's pretty much it. And to be honest, it was fun because as soon as I went out, I started fighting those enemies, and they can be rough. I mean, AI in this game and how they attack and they go around you, it can be very rough. Now, I'm not saying it's the smartest AI ever. It has definitely some problems, especially because you will go into different positions on the map. Like, for example, you're going to land on a place which is has a bit higher elevation, and those AI is not gonna be able to get you. Like, they're gonna be able to, some of them, throw bombs and they have arrows and so on, but they're pretty weak when it comes to that. But fighting in general was kind of fun because in this game, because of course it is action RPG along with being a survival, you do have a skill tree. Now in that skill tree you're gonna be able to push for certain classes. So if you do want to be a warrior in this game, you can. If you want to be a hunter, you can be a hunter. If you want to be a mage, you can be a mage. If you want to be an assassin, kind of a rogue character, you can do that as well. So besides obviously giving you that survival element, it also gives you a skill tree which you can go and unlock however you want, reset later if you want to reset, but overall it pretty much gives you the class which you want to play. The mage one is fun, the hunter is fun, the fighting is fun. I'm gonna be honest, just playing around with different classes and trying out different weapons, like you can really have a nice variety, especially if you're playing with friends, where you can specialize into different things as a character to take the most out of it. And obviously depending on your class, you're gonna be also taking different armor. So if you're a hunter, you're gonna be talking to a huntress who has armor specifically designed for you and so on. But you know, from time to time I saw myself using different weapons, you know, situationally if I need them, because if you're playing alone, you're kind of a one-man army. So it's not a problem if you're a full warrior and from time to time you want to take out a bow to shoot some people that way, because it's gonna be easier to maybe clear out some stuff. You can absolutely do it. The game is not going to be stopping you in that. But of course, if you want to specifically go into a certain, like how would I say, niche or a certain skill tree to become even better with that and more stronger, you can. Now base building is one of the probably strongest elements of this game as well, because it has voxel based building. By that it means that you can take each part of, like for example, a wall you place and kinda carve it out how you want and make the house exactly how you want to make it. So that's one of the things which I really liked about this, especially if you're gonna be playing around with building stuff. It is very well done. If you are talented in a game like this, you're gonna be creating castles and everything which can be super detailed, just because you can take each part of everything and kind of place it where you want it to be, and it's not going to be, like, how would I say, it's not going to be problematic. Nothing is going to fall on your head like in Valheim, so there isn't going to be that structural engineering going into place. You can kind of craft it and shape it how you want, and it's going to stay in that place. And also you can shape the terrain however you want. I mean, in Enshrouded, every part of the terrain anywhere in the world can be dug through, shaped however you want. Now do keep in mind, after some time it does reset, not your base, but you know, the world outside. But I found myself from time to time, like for example, if there was a path which I couldn't cross, I was like, okay, let me go and carve my way through the hill. So I go to the hill and I start using a pickaxe to kind of shape the stone how I want so I can pass. So just from that building perspective, you can pretty much shape a building however you want. You can create a hobbit house if you want, like in the ground, and it's going to stay there and it's going to be done well. I mean, obviously, it's up to you to decide how you want to do it, but the game allows you to. It's very cozy, like for example, the way you do farming in the game and the way you just put on different stuff with it. It's very cozy, and it's one of those games that if you're into this, you're gonna be really like shaping your base exactly how you want it, and that's something you can do, which is nice. Now when it comes to graphics, this is done in Holistic Engine, so this is their in-house engine which was specifically created for Enshrouded. And at first I was like, is this Unreal? Is this something like that? But not, this is basically their in-house engine, and it looks very nice. I mean, some of the stuff that you visit, like some of the places which you visit, are very beautiful because they were done by hand. There isn't too much procedural generation here, which you can see the way some things are shaped and organized and how it's kind of logical in that way. Like for example, you see a house where you see a village or a town which is abandoned because it has, you know, people were designing it, you know, piece by piece. You can see the remnants of that past and the story within it. And that's kind of, as I said, how the story is going to progress. You're going to be seeing some of the books underground, you're going to be reading them, and that's how you slowly start getting the story. And when you read the book, it's going to say, well, now you have to go here and explore what's up here. You know, maybe there is something that the book said, like, oh, we went north, so that you have now a location up north which you have to visit to continue that. Although I did have some problems when it comes to frame rate, so from time to time, I don't know if this was me or the game, I don't know if maybe the shaders were doing that, I go out from my house in my base and suddenly my frame rate goes to like 15-20, and it doesn't stop, like it cannot be solved. So what I have to do is exit the main menu, go back into it, and then it works. Now the problem is, because when you log out and log back into your world, it's going to be similar to like Dark Souls, where you have these bonfires which you basically like get throughout the map and you can respawn on them. So if my bonfire was at my base and I was already somewhere exploring and my frame rate dropped down and I had to restart my game, I am back at my house. So my progress which I made, I mean, it's not completely diminished, but I have to go back and run there again so my frame rate stays normal. But besides that, I'm going to be honest, like I had 0 crashes and the game was running pretty well. I don't know, like for an early access game, it's working pretty good. When it comes to music, the sounds, like the sounds are pretty okay, like just the SFX sounds are alright. I mean, nothing problematic in that sense, but the music, the soundtrack, when it kicks in, it is beautiful. It's one of those Valheim-like tracks where once you start listening to it, you can listen on it on loop as long as you can until you get sick of it. So that's one of those games where when the music kicks in, it is very somber, very beautiful. It's not some generic track which is played, oh look, it's a trees, and then some generic track starts playing. No, this is shaped in a way so it elevates the story, elevates the world, and elevates everything in front of you obviously when it kicks in, I did notice that music from time to time kind of dies out for quite a long time. Now, one of the stuff which also surprised me in Enshrouded is how the world is shaped. Like, for example, which kind of props you have on the map. So besides, you know, using your glider and using the hook to go on different, you know, elevations and to traverse, the game also gives you traps. It gives you battles which you can explode. So once you arrive to, let's say, a town, there's going to be a battle like there, and you can explode it. From time to time, you're even going to have loot like in the ground beneath those battles. So it's incentivized to go and look out for these hidden spots, because you never know which thing you can find within them, either a new piece of equipment or something else. And it actually has a lot of hidden traps. Like when I started playing this, I arrived to this area and I started looting. So as soon as I looted this pile of whatever, I heard like a bang and I died. So you will have a lot of like locations which are stashes, which are booby traps. So you have to quickly escape as soon as that timer starts, or you're pretty much a goner. And I will be honest, I died a few times more to me just blowing up rather than dying to like NPCs or whatever. Surprisingly, this game also has a bit of platforming. So once you go into certain towers to find, like, for example, survivors which are gonna be helping you, or you go to other towers to unlock, there is going to be some platforming, jumping from one area to another using the hook, you know, using different mechanics which you already know, or climbing on like some of the parts of the wall where you can to like kind of traverse up. I was again legit surprised that this game had platforming elements and all of those little things which you can find in it, like those secrets. So it tells me that developers really wanted to fill in this world properly and to make it really stand out. So my overall conclusion for Enshrouded is that this is one of the best survival action RPGs which came out in the past year or so. The last one which I enjoyed, it wasn't much of an action RPG like this one, was Valheim, but this one leans a lot more into that, just because I'm telling you, you have the skill tree, so you can kind of shape the character how you want. If you want to be a mage, you can be a mage. It's not specifically, oh, you have an axe and you have a shield and go out and survive. It's not just that. And I also like that later on, once you get some of the gear with you, you can pretty much go out and just explore and make yourself a little camp, you know, fix some stuff, because throughout the map you're gonna have some locations where you can fix gear. So it's not going to be just at your base, and fixing gear is pretty much automatic. As soon as you go to your workbench, it all kinda just fixes itself and you don't have to worry about it. And for an early access game, I'm gonna be honest, I am pretty much happy with, you know, the price of the game, which is I believe 29.99 euros, or your region equivalent. Now do keep one thing in mind. When it comes to early access games, the way I buy them and play them is that I think about this. Okay, if a game came out in early access, will I be able to get value for the money that I paid in this version of the early access? Because I don't know, it's impossible to know how much a studio is going to update that game in the future. And Enshrouded is one of those games which you can pay 30 euros for, play it until the end, because it takes some time to finish this. Definitely, if you're gonna be going slowly, even if you're gonna be going fast, it's still gonna be taking a lot of time. That even this state how it is, I'm like, okay, this is alright for the money which is paid for the game, and everything on top of that is going to be extra. So if you like Valheim, if you like Outward in some sense, in some elements, then I really recommend checking out Enshrouded as well. For this year, it's definitely like it's a nice contrast to Palworld in general. I mean, I play those two games for very different reasons, and I'm glad that they're not similar, that they want to have their own, how would I say, their own place in the survival RPG genre. But yeah, this is pretty much everything for today. I hope this video wasn't too long, because I really do enjoy Enshrouded, and I'm looking forward to see what they implement into the future, especially when it comes to more enemy variety, because so far enemy variety is alright, but you know, I still feel like there could be a little bit more stuff, and I'm really wondering like where they take the story like more and how they shape the game for like the final release. And when it comes to final release, they said after it comes out, then then they're gonna be releasing the game on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button for more, and also tell me down below if you played it, what do you think about it, and if not, what do you think about it just looking at the store page or whatever. So this is LKM again, signing out. Thank you for watching. Huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. Join us on Twitter and Discord, and that's pretty much it. Stay classy everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.